So good afternoon and welcome to our Employer Discovery Series. My name is Maya Lloyd. I am the Student Career Program Manager for the Office of Experiential Learning and Career Services. I've probably worked with a few of you here today. We are being joined by an amazing organization here today, the NCI Center for Cancer Training. So we're going to hear from fellows of the opportunity of the organization, and we're also going to hear from a few other folks from the center. So if you do have questions, you can put those in the chat, but we will leave questions for the end of the presentation as well. We'll have a Q&A portion. Again, this is being recorded, so it will be available afterwards on the Handshake Resources section of your student profile. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our friends at NCI.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for having us here today, Maya. I am Dr. Dominique Griffin. I am working in the Center for Cancer Training here at the National Cancer Institute, and I have two fellows with me as well that will be joining us in the conversation. My supervisor is also on the call. She leads the branch, and we'll get into that information in just a bit. Dr. Joanne Da Silva. I'll turn it over to Deanna and Toby for you all to introduce yourselves briefly, and then I'll jump into the presentation.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Deanna Riley. I'm a post-bac student here at the National Cancer Institute, and so I completed my bachelor's degree about 2 years ago from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and so now I'm here, have been here for about 2 years, and my next step is medical school.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Oluwatobi Arisa. I'm working at the NIH in the clinical center actually at the moment in collaboration with the NCI under Dr. Fig. We are currently working with pharmacology. I've come from Ireland actually, and I've been working here at the NIH for the last 2 years. It's a pleasure to meet everyone.
Perfect. And we'll jump right in and I'll share my screen from here. Okay, so you all should be able to see the presentation. And we'll present and then we'll answer questions after. So we're in the Center for Cancer Training. I'm in the Intramural Diversity Workforce Branch. We're going to be talking about just career pathways and cancer research and sharing that information with you all today. What we'll go over, so I'll give a brief overview of the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, talk with you about the National Cancer Institute, the type of work that we do here, and then how we do it. So what are the opportunities for you to come here and train? So who we are. The National Institutes of Health, the mission of this organization is to enhance health, lengthen life, and reduce illness and disability. A lot of folks are familiar with the extramural side, where they receive grants and funding from NIH, and that makes up about 75% of the budget. But we work on the intramural side where you can actually come to campus and train and conduct research. And what you'll see here on the right is an image of NIH main campus. All right, so NIH, a lot of folks don't pay attention to that S that's on the end of institutes, but the National Institutes of Health has 27 institutes and centers. We are at NCI, which is the largest of them all. And then we have 3 ICs that focus specifically on the extramural funding. At NCI, we have both opportunities, extramural and intramural. Today, we'll focus more so on the intramural opportunities that exist. NCI, it's one of the institutes as mentioned. So we are a part of the federal government. We're located on 3 of the campuses. So you'll see down here, NIH main campus. I believe that's where you're at. Toby, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have the Frederick National Lab, which is in Frederick, Maryland. And then our office is located in Shady Grove on the Rockville campus. All right, so NCI, we lead, conduct, and support cancer research. It's the largest cancer research organization in the world. So all different types of research around cancer happens here. And you'll see like that also happens across other ICs as well, where there might be overlap with cancer. So there's a plethora of opportunities, and I just want to stress that to you all today. So here at NCI, we're in the Center for Cancer Training. As I mentioned, I'm in the Intramural Diversity Workforce Branch. So our goal is really to increase diversity across the cancer workforce. I'm bringing on trainees, fellows that come from all different backgrounds, but really also different areas of the science. We also have 2 other branches within within CCT, the Office of Training and Education. And then on the extramural side, we have the Cancer Training Branch. So what do we do? At any point throughout the year, we could have anywhere from 900 to 1,400 fellows that are here conducting research, and that is comprised of summer interns. We have post-bac fellows like Deanna. We also have postdocs. We have folks that are here conducting their research for their dissertation. And then if you stay on board, you can either be a postdoc or a clinical fellow or a research fellow. So at NCI, as I mentioned, we have both intramural and extramural opportunities. So when you come to train here, you'll be placed within two of the different offices. So either in the Center for Cancer Research, where there's a focus on basic clinical translational research in HIV/AIDS, or within the Division of Cancer Epidemiology and Genetics, where there's population-based science, environmental, genetic determinants, and prevention. And then on the extramural side, you'll see like there's health disparities, cancer prevention, implementation science, cancer control, but you'll see that some of those areas still tie into some of the research that's happening within CCR or DCEG. So why come and train here at NCI? As I mentioned, it's the largest biomedical research organization in the world. There's competitive funding. All of the opportunities that I'll share with you today have funding attached to them. Hands-on learning where you're engaged in the science, you're conducting the research, a lot of opportunities to network and engage with other fellows, but also other PIs, and then the staff that work here. And that's at NCI or across NIH overall. And then just being here in the area, we're located just outside of DC. So a short drive or train ride away to get into a very metropolitan area. And if you're in New York, then I definitely understand just trying to get across the city. New York is actually home for me. I'm from the Bronx. So being able to live in the DC or the DMV area, as it's referred to, you'll see like there's a lot of opportunities, not just within the organization, but also within the area. Mentorship that happens across the board, whether it's from a postdoc or the PI that should be working with. And then there's a commitment to DEIA. So really, really stressing the fact that we want to diversify the cancer workforce and just have a variety of ideas coming to the table. It's important to our organization and just the sense of community as well. So how to obtain a training or a fellowship opportunity at NCI. You can do this by contacting an investigator directly. And this is something that I'm stressing at this point because some of the applications that we are going to talk about, they've closed for this season. So they'll open up at the end of the year. But that would be applying to specific programs within a specific timeline. You can also submit your CV and resume to NIH or to the NCI database or apply to open fellowship postings. Those are posted online, but also you'll find that they're posted on LinkedIn as well. So different opportunities are shared across the board. Previously, folks were using Twitter or X more frequently, but now we've seen a transition to using more LinkedIn as well. Something that I do want to stress is just reaching out to the investigator directly. All right, so we have a website, Train at NCI, where you'll see our opportunities listed by your stage in your career. So whether you're in high school, undergraduate, or post-bac, graduate student, or a postdoc, you'll see all of the opportunities that are applicable to you. And what I will say is that the opportunities that we have here at NCI might cut across the board, where you'll see similar opportunities mentioned in other ICs across NIH as well. Okay. So trying to find your training program and what would be applicable to you, you can search by career stage. So once you click on the menu, you can select whether you're in high school, undergrad, or a post-bac or a graduate student. So for you all, you'll probably click on graduate or postdoc, and that will help you figure out next steps. And this just walks you through that as well. So if you click on the undergraduate tab, just as an example, it'll drop down. You'll see this drop down menu where it shows you the post-baccalaureate fellowships or summer internships, because both will be applicable to you. And then you see here the overview of what those post-bacs are, right? So we have the cancer research post-bac program, and we also have iCure. So this is just walking you through like what it would look like on the website as you search by career stage. Right, so the first program that we have, the Cancer Research Interns Summer Program, this application cycle will begin in late fall, so fall of this year. It provides undergraduate, graduate, and medical school students with the opportunity to complete a paid summer internship here at NCI. You can spend up to 12 weeks conducting research in all of the categories that I mentioned. So that basic clinical research, cancer epidemiology, genetics, cancer control, as well as global and health disparities as well. There's mentorship and professional development attached to it, and this is a cohort program, but you can spend anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks. Folks typically spend about 8 to 10 weeks here, but it can go up to 12. And this is just an example of the criteria and what would be required of you should you apply for the programs, all right? So I just wanted to show you this as an example of what those expectations would be. So a US citizen or permanent resident, 18 years or older, full-time student with cancer research interest. Some programs you either have to have had some experience with research already, while others are more introductory and really your introduction into cancer research, right? Having a GPA of 3.0 or higher, and then passing a federal background check. So as I mentioned that we are a part of the federal government, so it is important that you'll be able to pass a federal background check. Then we have the Cancer Research Postbac, and that is actually the program that Deanna is in. So she'll share more about her experience and her career path as well. So this is another cohort model program. You spend up to 2 years conducting full-time research, about 40 hours a week. It's a full-time opportunity for you to just come and conduct research, attend meetings and workshops, and really engage in the research. That is the focus of this. You'll be exposed to that networking and also professional development opportunities as well. We also have the postdoc recruitment event, and this deadline will be winter of 2025. So the deadline will probably be in like early February of 2025. All right, so this is just a recruitment event where you can come to NCI, meet with different PIs, engage in different professional development opportunities and career exploration, find out about the funding and which labs will be looking for postdocs to come and join, and you'll get to tour the facility as well. So touring the NIH and NCI campuses. This is another example of a summer internship program, and they haven't updated their website yet, but they are not accepting any applications. The application cycle closed on February 16th, but I wanted to just include the snapshot of what the program looks like. So if you're interested in data sharing, data aggregation, or data analysis, there's a summer internship opportunity there. So there's a plethora of summer internships or fellowships that might spark your interest. And then at the NIH level, there's OITE, which is the Office of Intramural Training and Education. And this is where you can find various opportunities, again, by your career stage. So I showed this drop-down menu. When you click on research training at the top left of the screen, you'll see it shows you by training or career stage, I should say, and you can click on which one you'd be interested in. Summer internships will probably be applicable to you, postdocs as well. And then if you wanted to come here to conduct your dissertation research, that would also be an option. While you're here, there's a variety of resources that are available to you. So we have several different affinity groups at NCI and at NIH as well. So at NCI, we have the Black Cancer Researchers Group. We're also working to develop some more affinity groups that will serve fellows across the board. We then have at the NIH level, a group for African American fellows, one for fellows with disabilities, veterans, parents. There's definitely a variety of opportunities there as well to engage. There's one for Indigenous fellows as well, and one for staff. So just something to think about, like if you're looking for a sense of community while you are here, there are opportunities for you to engage with them. There's mental health and well-being services that are here, career exploration and preparing for next steps. So we have the NIH Career Day, training and group-specific career symposiums, and then you can always meet with a career counselor should you want to do so. They could also do presentations. A couple of weeks ago, we had the career counselors present to the Black Cancer Researchers Group on career decision-making, right? So a variety of topics will be covered in that space. And then there's the professional development skills that you work on while you're here, and networking. So a plethora of networking opportunities. I want to invite you all to definitely look into our NCI Inside Cancer Careers podcast, and our host for that is Dr. Oliver Bogler. So you'll see that link here. You can always listen to the podcast and find out about folks that have careers in cancer research. And then Nancy, this is an app by NCI where you can connect with people in your field, explore events happening at NCI, and discover scientific papers relevant to you and to your work. All right, so you can download that app on your phone. And I'll turn it over to Deanna for her to share her experience with us.
Awesome. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you for presenting today. I'm excited to be here, so thank you for being with us. Like Dominica said, my name is Deanna, and I'm a postbac here at the National Cancer Institute within NCI or within NIH. Like I mentioned earlier, am currently in postgrad. So I completed my bachelor's degree at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, which is where I'm originally from. And then I came here right after that, meaning I graduated in May and I started here in June. And I'm currently finishing the second year of my 2-year postbac fellowship with the Cancer Research Program specifically. So a little bit about my background before coming into NCI is that I always knew I wanted to go into medicine, and research science was something that I had the first opportunity to explore in undergrad, primarily through various biomedical engineering research experiences that I had in freshman through senior year, including things like nanoparticle drug delivery, hydrogel synthesis, natural aging studies, things of that nature at my campus and others, primarily in experiences where I got to do bench work and kind of really understand opportunities for how we can utilize science to improve health outcomes in medicine. And so I really was wanting to find more experiences to learn a little bit more of how that applied clinically. And so I was hoping to find a translational research experience at my time at NIH. And so as an undergraduate student, I had a few friends who had done postbacks here, and they told me about their experiences and some of the things they got to do and how they felt that prepared them to know kind of what research they wanted to do as a career, and also help them develop personally and professionally before starting their next steps. And both of them also are currently in medical school. And so I kind of felt like this was going to be the perfect opportunity. I gravitated towards the cancer research program, which is formerly called ICRC. And it was something that was unique to me in the fact that it's a cohort-based model. And so I have about 9 other students in my cohort who kind of came in with me at the same time. We all do different research within NCI, but on top of that, we get to network with each other and other postbac students in NCI's postbac programs. We have regular meetings for professional development, and then we also have opportunities to go to conferences together and explore ways that we can learn more about the unique science that we do in our labs, but also kind of just have, honestly, a little bit of a built-in best friends kind of community while we're here during this time. And so I specifically work in the lab of pathology here in NCI in the hematopathology group. I do translational research where I'm able to kind of help characterize different autoimmune disorders and lymphomas using 2 techniques called immunohistochemistry and RNAscope. And so specifically through those methods, I get to collaborate with some different doctors across NIH to be able to selectively visualize and quantify different protein patterns or RNA sequences that allow us to better understand different things like histochemical pathways, different immunology pathways that then are translated into how some of the doctors here will treat their patients. And so it's definitely given me an opportunity to really explore how science and medicine kind of go hand in hand, and has prepared me for my next steps, which are medical school. And so the fact that NCI has given me such a diverse experience on projects across different disciplines, ranging from pathology to allergy and infectious disease to genetic studies, has been very fulfilling and extra rewarding in the fact that I do have mentors here who are experts in their field and also take the time to nurture not just my interest in research and science, but also medicine and their clinical experiences, or being able to get involved in different workshops across NIH, or meeting with other professionals who kind of will help me explore all of the different interests I have as an up and coming future doctor. And so some of my highlights or my greatest experiences have been to be able to work here in Clinical Center, where, half of it is a hospital, the other half is a research building. So being able to work on projects that are directly improving the quality of life of the patients here, oftentimes when they can't find treatment access in places across the world, has been extremely rewarding. And then on top of that, I included a picture here of my cohort that I came in with, but being able to meet with postbacks who come from so many different backgrounds. NIH is an internationally diverse community. And so I meet people from all across the world who have had different experiences, different careers. Some of them had no interest in research before they came here, and then they've changed their whole career trajectory. And so getting to meet with them and learn more about the research they do and love, and how really we get to collaborate very often, and how we get to kind of move on to our next steps and stay and network with each other, has been an amazing experience overall.
All right, good afternoon all. That was nice to hear, Deanna, about your experience at the NIH. My experience is somewhat different, as I've come in as a postdoc. So for a little history lesson, I did my undergraduate degrees in medicinal chemistry at Trinity College Dublin in Ireland. So I'm not even from the US, and that gives me somewhat of some different perspective as to how things are done here. But I did my degree in medicinal chemistry. I've always been interested in drug development. I've always been interested in how drugs are made and how they're processed within the body. And so I did 4 years undergrad in Trinity, and then went to do my PhD at Oxford, where the focus of my study was looking at proteins and looking at how we could use chemistry to synthesize proteins and different things along the way. In that time, I had the experience to go to Janssen Pharmaceutica of Johnson and Johnson's in Belgium and Spain, and I got to see what industry was like. And so I got to have that unique experience of academia as well as industry, and that sort of better prepared me for where I wanted to end up post my PhD. So I finished my PhD in 2017, and I was recruited, or essentially my current PI reached out to me whilst I was working in Oxford, and he has a lab here at the NIH focused on pharmacology, and he does pharmacokinetics as well. And so that was something that I was very interested in, because I've always been along the lines of looking into how we can take a drug from the bench to the bedside. And as interesting as my PhD was, I never really got to see that aspect of things. And when I was approached about working at the NIH, which, as you all know, is one of the leading institutions at performing clinical trials, collaborating with various parties that are doing clinical trials, it was very interesting to me to come here. And so I accepted a postdoc here, and I started sort of at the height of COVID, which was when COVID was subsiding in 2021. And so I came in as a visiting fellow, primarily focused on oncology and pharmacology. And my main sort of job description was really looking at the pharmacokinetics of various drugs that we were collaborating with various clinicians. And so it was very interesting to actually see the drugs proceed from preclinical to clinical trials and see the different things that had to be considered. Also, the NIH has a lot of funding, and so I knew that doing a postdoc here I wouldn't have the constraints of having to apply, having to have limited resources based on limited funding. And so I've been working at the NIH now for over 2 years. I worked as a postdoc for 2 years, and I've actually since been promoted to a lab manager and a research fellow, where I'm now essentially leading one of the labs that my PI founded in pharmacokinetics, and we're looking at essentially assessing how a drug behaves in both animals and in humans. And it's essentially allowed me to meet a lot of different clinicians. It's allowed me to collaborate with a lot of interesting people and learn a lot more about sort of the space, and learn a lot more about drug discovery and the different aspects of drug discovery. Being at the NIH has been a very rewarding experience, as it's also allowed me to collaborate with sort of minority groups. We are currently trying to initiate a collaboration with Howard University, where our lab will also work with Howard University to bring students here, but also advance drug discovery in HBCUs. But essentially, the NIH, for me at least, was very useful. It was a great training experience, and I was able to do a lot of different courses within the NIH through FAES that sort of better prepared me for my current role as a lab manager.
Alrighty, so at this time, we definitely want to invite you to join our Train at NCI listserv, and we'll pop that information in the chat shortly to learn more about upcoming opportunities. And as you can tell, between the two folks that just presented, Dr. Arisa as well as Deanna, there's a lot for you to engage in while you're here, not just the research, but thinking about the partnerships, the collaboration that you'll engage in, meeting scholars from across the world and doing different types of research or just projects that you might be interested in. So there's a lot of ways for you to grow here before you move on to your next stage in your career. And here's our email information, our contact information listed at the top. Feel free to reach out to us. And at this time, I just want to thank you all for joining today. I'll stop sharing my screen and open it up for questions as well.
Right, thank you so much. If anyone does have questions, you can put them in the chat or you can come off mute and ask your questions. I guess for myself, since we do work with majority graduate students, right, and doctoral level students, can you speak a little bit more on what that process would look like for a graduate student? You know, what these opportunities might look like for them.
Right. So they would have to apply to the different programs that I've mentioned. So the postdoc, going into the postdoc recruitment event, that would be something for them to do to find which opportunities exist at the postdoc level. The other thing that I would say would be reach out to the individual PIs to see what research they're working on, if there's some overlap, and if they would be interested in bringing on a postdoc. There are opportunities for folks to come and conduct their research here, but again, those are individual partnerships essentially because we don't have partnerships with institutions. So they would still have to reach out to the PI to see if that would be something that they would be willing to do. So at the graduate level and at the postdoc level, there's a plethora of opportunities, but I'm going to continue to stress to reach out to them individually. And you can always find their information online. I don't know if that was popped into the chat just yet, but I could always include that in the chat for you to look at the work that's happening here.
Okay, great. We do have one question in the chat from Aksa, who is asking if there are any opportunities for international students who might not have their citizenship yet.
Right. So Toby is an excellent example of that. And we do at the postdoc level, they could come here and conduct research.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am. Aksa here. I hope you're well. Ma'am, I have one more question. For the postdoc, is it same like a yearly cycle or something like that? Every year cycle opens, or we can just, is it a rolling basis?
Yes, so that's on a rolling basis. So that's where you can contact the PIs at any point in the year. And if you need to be introduced to anyone, or if somebody's not responding to an email, you can always reach out to our office and we can try to connect you as well. But we encourage you to just look online and reach out to them directly. And I'm going to paste that link in the chat for you.
And to
Thank you so much.
To add to that, I've had two people from abroad basically do exactly that. Just send an email to some PIs there. Sometimes your email address will be circulated if you're open to that when it comes to looking for postdoctoral roles. But oftentimes they'll send you an email and get back to you as to if they have available slots. But I know a lot of PIs are open to postdoctoral candidates abroad.
And my Zoom screen is frozen. So if anybody could paste this link in the chat for me, that would be good. I'll send it to you all now to paste.
Joanne, you just put something in the chat about the open fellowship postings.
Yeah, so the link that's in the chat is to Train at NCI, the new portal that Dominique mentioned earlier. And on that page, there's a couple of tools. One is the Find a Training Opportunity tool. But if you also scroll down on the home page, that's where you can learn more information about the various different research areas that we cover here at NCI. As well as the different divisions, and several of these divisions have training programs. And so we hope that this is helpful in kind of identifying, one-stop shop. That's really what this new site was designed to do. You also see on here that one of the pathways, as Dominique mentioned, to
obtaining a training opportunity is to apply to an open fellowship postings. So further down, if you scroll down the page, you'll see that opportunities are posted on the division website, specifically CCR, DCEG, DCCPS, and DCP. And so I just wanted to call your attention to that as well.
And I
Yep.
also see here one of the research areas being public health research and cancer, which I know a lot
Absolutely.
of our students would be interested in. Mhm.
Just one last question I have here is for the postdoc opportunities, we have to complete our graduation, for, like we have to complete our master's first, then we can apply, or we can during this MPH course we can apply as well.
For a postdoc?
Yes, for this postdoc fellowship programs.
So the postdoc is for students that have completed their their doctorate degrees. So it wouldn't be for a master's level student.
Okay,
what
I mean,
would be
for example,
applicable-
I'm sorry for interrupting you. For example, if someone had a doctoral degree back home that's equivalent to MD here, is it those students are eligible for this position, postdoc?
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm asking. Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are there any other questions? You can come off mute. I think someone just came off mute, so I'll let you speak.
Yes, hi. I have a question. So, the internship, do you have any part-time like internship since I have a full-time job? Because I want to discover the research field.
So if that's the case, I would say the summer internship might be an opportunity. There's the VSOR program, which is a virtual summer internship opportunity. But the majority of the opportunities are full-time, where you are working here in the lab, conducting the research, going to different professional development opportunities and training opportunities. So the majority of them are in person and full-time.
Okay, because I got my grad degree already, and I wonder, do you have any remote or anything that I can discover and more on research field?
Right. So I would say again, like it's mainly in person. You have your PhD or do you have your master's?
I have my master.
Okay.
MPH in management and policy, but then we would like to, because I work in DOHMH before, but then it's not research. But there's a lot of I see that they have a lot of funding for mental health or cancer field too. So I would be interested and would like to discover more in the research field.
Okay. And yeah, again, it will be in person. The majority of the opportunities will be in person on the intramural side. Now, if you were to apply for extramural grants, maybe you might work at a university or a hospital or somewhere in the community that's receiving the NIH funded grants, and conducting that research as well.
Okay, and the location will be MD, Maryland, or
Yes, in Maryland.
right. When you say that and the summer internship and the period, I would like to know that and the summer will be full-time too, right?
Yes.
In person.
Yes. We
Okay.
don't really have part-time opportunities. This is usually a full-time opportunity. And similar to like Deanna, she's in the process of applying to medical school, but she's working here full-time and conducting that research full-time.
Got it. All right. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? I would add just like the nature of some of the work in terms of folks that might be focused on epidemiology or population-based science. A lot of times that's just online and not necessarily in person. So there might be some more flexibility there. But because it's the government, like we have the responsibility to go into the office twice per pay period. That's the structure and the policy that's set in place right now, or like once per week. So the expectation is still that, you would be here in person, essentially.
I had one question.
Mm-hmm.
The summer internships are only for the current students because I saw the internship I was interested in is closed for the deadline was February 16. I expect my graduation to be in May 2025. So I wanted to ask, will there be summer internships once I complete the graduation, or these are only for current students?
They're only for current students. There are opportunities to stay on board for the year. And I don't know, Joanne, if you could speak to that a bit more.
I think some of those opportunities are more kind of on a case by case basis. Like maybe if you come on in a previous year and want to continue post graduation, but at this time, our internship opportunities are for current students.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and will we have this presentation to send out to students afterwards?
Yes, so I will make sure that you all get that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think as just a last point, if from Dr. Arisa, from Dr. Griffin, and even Deanna, if you want to give just some final words of wisdom or any suggestions or recommendations that you can give to students who might be interested in applying for the program, we can end there.
I just want to encourage folks to apply. I think that's the number one thing. I've run into students that'll ask like, oh, what's the acceptance rate? And I'm just like, that seat might actually have your name on it. So regardless of what the acceptance rate is, still apply, still reach out to the PIs and make those connections. And, we welcome you here at any point in your academic career. If you want to come and train at NCI, and at NIH overall, there is an opportunity for you to do so. So keep us in mind as you continue to matriculate throughout your career. And I just wish you all the best. I'll turn it over to Deanna and Dr. Toby.
Yeah, I would definitely echo all of that. As I kind of mentioned, I think it's been very rewarding being at a place like NCI at NIH. As I mentioned, where there are just so many different opportunities. There's always an opportunity to explore the research that you're passionate about while learning about research that's being conducted at every corner of this campus and beyond. You get to grow professionally in your career, but also for me, coming here has also meant being able to develop personally as I'm getting to my next steps in my career, being able to make new connections and meet new friends and really kind of have a network that I don't see necessarily disappearing even once my training period is over. I've made mentors and connections that I think will last a lifetime. And for me, it's just always rewarding to be able to come into an experience with others and just see where we all end up and how we kind of differentiate our experiences and our opportunities. So I think NCI has a place for anybody who's truly interested in continuing their passion in research and science and medicine. So like Dominica said, if you are wanting to kind of explore something new in a very extraordinary place, then I think this is the place for you for sure.
So I think I'll just end by piggybacking off what Deanna and Dominica have said. The cliche, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, sort of applies here. I think apply, you never know, it could be for you. I think the NIH perfectly is in that middle space, or in that interface between academia and industry, where you get to do a lot of interesting research without the constraints of looking for funding. And so it's a really unique place and a really unique environment to learn, but it's also a unique environment to grow. And so I think if this is something you're considering, definitely go and try and see how it works for you. But I've personally really enjoyed my experience at the NIH.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much to our speakers. This has been extremely informative. And we are so glad that you were able to join us here today. Hopefully those in the audience got some helpful information out of this info session, and have a great day. You'll get a follow-up email with some of the links shared here today, as well as the presentation and more information on how you can apply to some of these programs. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.